What's up, fellas and genitals? I hope you're doing okay today. Just before I get started with the reaction video that you're about to see, due to the length of the video, that is 2 hours and 31 minutes, I am going to break it into two parts of this video. So yeah, you'll be seeing part 1 first, and then part 2 will come at a later date. So yeah, I just thought I'd give you a heads up, everybody. So yeah, so without any further ado, I hope you enjoy part 1 of Phoenix Wright / My Little Pony, Ace Attorney, Elements of Justice. Objection! And all rise. We're in trial. We are in trial. It's trial day. It is trial day for the murder of Turning Page's father. So yeah, I kind of forgot his name now. It's been a while. It's been a while since the last episode came out. Royal Order. Royal Order, that's it. Got there eventually. Yeah, this time we have not one suspect, but two. Two suspects are in trial, and Athena is going to take this case. This is the biggest case in Ace Attorney. Not handling one. Not handling one suspect, but two of them in her court. Well, in her trial. So yeah. So what I want to know from this one, with that ending part, not with Sonata and Equity, who is the one in the gold armor, is Twilight's voice at the end of the last episode. When Athena asked her, "Why are you up so late in the middle of the night?" and then Twilight said, "Oh, it's nothing. I couldn't get to sleep," but her voice was like really shaky, as Athena just explained in the last episode, of course. Now, of course, during this case, there have been like finger pointing or hoof pointings, if you want to stick to your Rosie, of course, of who's done it and who did it. Like there's people are saying that Sakura might be the one behind the blood and everything, because it's taking place in the Everfree Forest, and it's near towards where Sakura lives in her hut as well. And of course, by the ending scene with Equity, and she's looking at the picture of Turning, Royal Order, the whole family photo in there, and what looks like to be a note on the side as well. Yeah, they're saying that Equity might have done something, but that's just my first suspicions. That's just my first suspicions on who did this and who did that. So yeah, but here we are. This was premiered on the 5th of November, and I'm reacting to this on the... Come on, give me the... There we go. I'm reacting to this on the 9th of November. Yeah, I am 4 days late. 4 days late, yeah. I just wanted to give myself a little bit of a break before we get into... I mean, have you seen the duration of this video? 2 hours and 31 minutes. This is going to be a long video to edit and to process. So, yeah, you can understand why I've taken that break just for that duration. But yeah. I will be giving out a confirmation of a date on when I'm going to be fully uploading the video via the community tab. So if you see that tab, although you'll see this video right after I've put the tab on, but if you see the tab, then yeah, there you go. That was the confirmation date and everything. So yeah, guys. Fillies and Jenna Colts, bronies and Pegasisters of all ages. This is it. It's trial day. It is trial day. Athena Sykes versus Sonata Dusk. Oh my word. Two defendants on the trial stand. This is going to be huge. This is going to be huge. So, without any further ado, guys, let's get this fully started. It's 2 hours and 30 minutes. I haven't got a drink, but there's quite a few in here. You know what? I will get out my banana milkshake. We're going milky. And chocolate doo-doos. Chocolate raisins. So, yeah. So without any further ado, let's get this started in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Hey, Celestia and the Mayor. February 14th, 8:47 a.m. Ponyville District Court. Defendant Lobby number 5.
Okay. First trial in Equestria, no big deal. It'll just be like any other. Except with magic. And 2 kids.
Yeah, widget.
From Phoenix or Apollo.
Okay. Yeah. Without Apollo or Phoenix. Let's not. Yeah, the cakewalk thing now is a bit of a, you know, bit old school now. But we're over that.
But you were already up late last night. How many hours did you actually sleep?
Yeah, how many?
About
3.
Did you at least get something to eat? I had something to drink after my laps. Nothing like some freshly squeezed orange juice after a good workout.
By the way, since this is going to be 2 hours and 30 minutes, there might be like inconveniences here and there. Wow! Look at the models on Phoenix and Apollo. New models. Nice.
Mr. Overnight Instant Noodles and Comics.
It's called manga, and it's art.
You two could learn a lot from me. I always make sure I'm well rested before a performance.
Nice. I'm loving the models.
There's a lot more on the line with this, though, Trucy.
You're still worried about defending both Scootaloo and Turning Page, aren't you?
Yeah, just a little bit. But I'm fine. I'm just a little on edge, you know? Well, don't worry, Athena. I'm going to be right there with you throughout the trial. You're right. Thanks again, Twilight, for agreeing to be my aide. No problem, Athena. I'm certainly gonna need the help, that's for sure.
Speaking of those kids, where are they? They should have been brought here by now.
Apparently, the prosecutor wanted to have one last conversation with them before the trial started. They should be here any minute.
Okay.
Hopefully soon. The trial's about to start.
By the way, Twilight, did you manage to get any info about the prosecutor?
No.
No, didn't think so.
They didn't even tell
Yeah.
you? No, they didn't. I'm sorry, Athena.
Yeah.
Huh?
They had to keep
For not
their.
being able to find out who the prosecutor is? I gave you my word that I would.
They had to
you
keep
know.
shh. You know.
Twilight.
They had to keep
It's
shush.
okay, really. I mean, it's not like it would make
I mean,
that much of a difference.
you are
right?
you are facing your
We're gonna find
your
out
nemesis.
exactly who the prosecutor is anyway.
You did the best you could, Twilight. That's all anyone could ask for.
The greatest nemesis Equestria has ever faced
Good
it.
morning, everybody. Especially to you, Princess Twilight.
Turning, there's no need to bow to me, really.
What do you mean? Of course there is. You're taking time out of your busy schedule to help defend Miss Scootaloo and me. I'm eternally grateful, Princess.
Wait, how did you know I was assisting the defense?
Oh, well, it was the prosecutor. They told us to be aware of your presence today.
Why does it always feel like we're being left in the dark? I don't know anything about the prosecution, but somehow they already know about us, and they told Turning and Scootaloo?
Miss Sykes?
Wow.
Princess Twilight?
Yes, Turning?
I have a request. I want you both to focus on Miss Scootaloo. I don't care what happens to me, but you must defend Scootaloo.
Oh, Turning. Turning.
Innocent. I know it. If worse comes to
Turning.
worse,
Don't turn yourself in.
What? Turning, no!
Don't turn yourself
What's
in.
gonna happen if we do that? If you're found guilty, you'll be banished from Equestria.
I know that. But that's a price I'm willing to pay. If it means Miss Scootaloo is saved.
He's absolutely serious.
Sorry about the
about
background
this.
noise as well.
Defend me if you
My
must.
brother is watching something.
But just know that if I think things start to look bad, I won't hesitate to confess if it means saving her.
No, you're innocent too. You can't throw your life away just for me, Turning. I won't let you. Besides, think of your mom. She just lost your dad after all. If you end up banished,
She'll be fine. Besides, she'd understand. Sometimes sacrifices need to be made. It's my duty as a future member of the Royal Guard. Even one life is spared, no matter whose. I have no regrets. Don't worry, Scootaloo. If what the prosecutor said is true, then we shouldn't have to worry at all. I'm just stating this as a last resort, in case things don't go according to plan.
right.
This mystery prosecutor is making secret plans with the defendants as well? You know what? I'm not gonna just stand there twiddling my thumbs. It's time for some answers. Alright, just who exactly is the prosecutor? And what exactly did they say to you two?
Mm.
I'm sorry, Miss Sykes, but we were told not to tell you anything about the prosecutor's identity or plan.
Exactly.
Seriously?
Exactly.
What's the deal? Why are they being so secretive?
I don't know, but it's starting to get on my nerves.
Scoots! Turning! You guys doing alright? Yeah, I'm fine.
Oh, look at that animation then with the head
Thank you for
turning.
asking.
Hey, Escort. You doing okay? Yeah, I just can't believe I'm going on trial. Yeah, it feels pretty crazy, huh? It's okay though. You made it through the worst part.
I should have also mentioned as well that with this series being as it is, they should really make a game. Like Capcom, Hasbro join together to make one of the biggest games of the year. The new Ace Attorney game. Should really do that.
Oh, well, that makes sense, I guess. She was feeling sick yesterday, wasn't she?
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
doesn't seem like she's ill.
About that. Apollo.
Lights? What's going on? You see,
We don't even want to help us investigate the case.
God damn it, Widget!
no, that's Widget. Sweetie Belle? What's this about?
No. It's not like that at all. It's not like I don't want to help. I'm just so sure that Scootaloo is innocent, and I know that Princess Twilight and Miss Cyclops
Sweetie.
will without my help.
Sweetie,
Sweetie.
tell the truth.
That's how it works, right? In court, the truth will come out no matter what.
If you're not
If
you're not trying to help.
Help, though? Sweetie Belle! What are you talking about? We're the Cutie Mark Crusaders. We do everything together. And that includes helping each other out no matter what. We've had each other's backs ever since we started looking for our cutie marks. That's the whole reason why we're friends in the first place. So why aren't you helping now?
Apple Bloom, Sweetie Belle, I know this is a rough time for y'all, but this ain't the time or place to be having this discussion.
I want to help Scootaloo. Really, I do. But considering what she did, I didn't want to get in the way and make things
No,
worse.
she does.
Like you did.
What?
What's that supposed to mean? Sweetie Belle, apologize to Apple Bloom.
What?
Think about Sweetie Belle.
What?
You know what you did? You stole some fabric from Carousel Boutique the other night. You went into the forest and gave it to Diamond Jar and Silver Spoon, didn't you?
Oh my god.
I
Can we really see the breakup of the Cutie Mark Crusaders?
Wait a minute. Sweetie Belle, how did you know that Scootaloo stole the fabric in the first place?
Yeah, you were talking with Turning.
yeah.
How?
About that.
You were talking with Turning. Bruh.
What are you hiding from us, Sweetie Belle?
Sweetie, you're probably the most sus out of them all.
She's clearly keeping quiet about something. And if it can help Scootaloo, then she needs to tell us.
You need to calm down, Rainbow. You're not helping any pony by scaring Sweetie Belle.
I just knew, all right? Something didn't seem right when Turning showed up in the middle of the night to say hello, so I figured something was up. I checked around the boutique after he left and noticed one roll of golden silk was missing. That's all!
See, there you go, Rainbow. A perfectly reasonable explanation.
I don't buy it. Look at her. She's shaking like a leaf.
I think she's still hiding something.
Come on, Sweetie
Tell
Belle.
us what happened. You followed them there, didn't you?
Back off.
Don't make Rainbow go bad cop, good cop, bad cop.
We'll see you all in there, okay?
I'll go after her. But you and I are going to have a serious talk later, Rainbow Dash.
What?
Consarn it, Rainbow.
What? Jeez.
I shouldn't have said that. I should not have said that.
Yeah, you shouldn't. You shouldn't have opened your mouth about it.
Scootaloo. Aren't they all good friends? They are. But I don't know.
Even close friends could still doubt each other,
Mm.
but not typically without a very good reason.
Mm.
If I could have everybody's attention, the trial is about to begin.
Bailiff.
Will the defendants and their attorney please make their way into the courtroom?
Here we go. Deep breaths, Athena.
Don't.
Ready?
Mom spaghetti.
You've got this. Remember to focus.
Is your mother cooking spaghetti?
Just believe in yourself. Okay? Thanks, you guys.
I know this is a big step for you as a lawyer, but we all start somewhere. It's time for you to take that next leap forward. I'm confident you'll succeed. You'll always have my full support.
Boss. We got this. Right, Twilight? Of course, Athena. Now, let's go.
She's shaking again. Didn't you hear that? She's shaking her voice again. Here we go. February 14th, 9 a.m. Ponyville District Court. Courtroom number 5. Oh, yes. Open the doors. Day 1. Court is now in session. All rise.
Court is now in session for the trial of Scootaloo and Turning Page. Are the prosecution and defense ready?
Look at the setting on the equestrian court.
Is missing. Wait, why is the judge
Wow.
still here?
Wow, EOJ team. You really upgraded. You have really upgraded.
Yes, Your Honor. But, you're still here then?
You didn't think I'd go straight back home, did you? I figured I'd just take a short vacation in this wonderful world.
Is it really a vacation if you're still working?
Exactly. I mean, Twilight might have summoned you as well.
After today's trial, I plan on doing some sightseeing for a few days before I head back home. I know I said I wasn't interested before, but I'm thinking of checking out that race Prince Blueblood mentioned. I'll admit I don't have much experience. Princess Twilight, if you know of any other sights I can catch in Equestria, I'd greatly appreciate being told about them.
Don't.
I'll let you know.
Don't tell him.
So,
Don't tell him.
why are you here exactly, Your Honor? In court, I mean.
Well, actually, it was Princess Celestia who asked me to preside over this.
Celestia. Oh, wow, look at that animation.
Princess Celestia asked you? Why?
Okay, makes sense.
I'm sorry, Miss Sparkle, but I'm afraid I don't have that answer. The letter I received.
What is it with keeping confidentials?
Preside over the trial, and I agreed.
That's odd. Wasn't that supposed to be one of Princess Celestia's responsibilities? The only reason she wasn't the judge for the previous trial was because Twilight...
I love how the animation as well is like what it was for the 3DS version.
Just what is
When
going on
Athena
here?
Sykes made her
In any
grand
case,
appearance.
We can get started with the trial. Prosecution, I have still yet to hear your answer. Are you ready?
Give me an answer. I'd settle for just seeing them.
If the prosecution is not prepared, then it would appear that I will have to postpone the trial until they arrive. Very well. Court is...
She's here. She's here. She's here. She's here.
My apologies, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready.
What?
About time. Huh?
Look, Luna? Look, what? 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 So, what? What?
I am Princess Luna. A pleasure to meet you, Your Honor.
Princess?
What the hell?
Yes, I do recall receiving a message that the original prosecutor for this case chose to allocate their duties to another.
Oh, son of a
There's
gun!
no excuse to be late to court, Princess.
Just prosecutor will do, Your Honor. And I understand.
How did they even assigned to her? What do they do?
Something they wish to discuss with me, and so it delayed my arrival. Nevertheless, the prosecution is now prepared.
Very well.
I am surprised.
Luna, huh? So she-
I am surprised.
Just like Twilight. I suppose that makes sense, given that she's a princess and all. That name, though, it sounds familiar. Wait.
It was where Equestria's current rulers, Princess Celestia and Luna, used
Yep,
to live.
Castle of Two Sisters.
Oh, that's right. She's one of Equestria's leaders. Just my luck. Come on, guys. Just keep up with the ruler of an entire country. Okay, relax. Just focus on the case. Still, something about her appearance. Have I seen her
She's shell-shocked!
Princess Luna, what are you doing?
She's shell-shocked just like I am!
Twilight Sparkle. I heard that you would be assisting the defense today.
Heard? I think it's more likely that you found out during your nightly stroll. Am I right?
I should have expected you'd know. You've always been the clever one.
What the heck are they talking about?
Nevertheless, Miss Sparkle, the reason I'm here is quite simple. It is my duty to uphold the laws of Equestria.
Oh,
I am simply fulfilling that duty.
no, Luna.
Regardless of whom it is I may be prosecuting, be they adult or child, friend or foe,
Oh,
I plan to fulfill my responsibility to the fullest. But of course, being the clever pony that you are, I'm sure you could have guessed that, couldn't you?
I should have known for the post-credit scene.
Right.
I should have known.
As for you, Defense,
Huh? Me?
Hello?
I must confess, I was hoping that the Blue Phoenix would stand against me.
Blue Phoenix?
His efforts during the TS5 case and the case from 2 days ago were certainly admirable, twice proving there was no murder in our peaceful
Ah,
country.
Phoenix.
So,
Right.
imagine my surprise when I learned that you would be the lead on this case instead. You, whom I have only heard of in hearsay and whispers that began spreading after the trial in Manhattan. I look forward to seeing if you can hold yourself up to the same standards that the Blue Phoenix has set.
You'll see. I will live up to his example. With Twilight by my side, Scootaloo and Turning Page are as good as free.
Is that so? Well, that's wonderful to hear.
And with that, let us resume this trial. Prosecutor Luna, you may make your opening statement.
At once, Your Honor.
Alright, let's do this! Ready, Twilight?
Oh, God. Yeah.
Twilight?
What?
Oh, sorry. Right, let's get this started.
Hmm.
Today's proceedings shall center around the murder of Royal Order, who had just returned home from Canterlot the night he was killed. He was a member of the Royal Guard.
What? Everybody was killed? Not just killed, he was murdered. Murdered since when?
Okay, having little audible
Rest assured, my
hearing
ponies,
in the crowd.
that there is no cause for alarm. We anticipated this would be the public's reaction to this news. That is why we withheld this information until we had all the facts.
That's right. Private Eye mentioned something about keeping the victim's identity a secret from the public. Looks like that was the right call.
Now that we have investigated this matter in full, we are ready to present the truth behind this stallion's death to the court and the public. I will begin by submitting the victim's autopsy report.
The court accepts the report as evidence.
Royal Order's autopsy report. Time of death, 9:30 to 10:30 p.m. Cause of death, stab wound. Yeah.
The time of death is estimated to be on the evening of February 12th between 9:30 p.m., when the victim was last seen, and 10:30 p.m., when the body was discovered. The coroner was able to confirm this during their examination of the body. Death came as the result of a single stab wound to the right side of the victim's head.
Single lethal strike, then.
It's not quite that simple, Your Honor. There was only one visible wound, but he appears to have been stabbed at least twice. Whether or not this was caused by a single weapon or multiple weapons is unclear. What we do know for certain is that the victim died instantly after just a single stab. All subsequent stabs the victim suffered were post-mortem.
In other words, the only thing we need to be concerned with is figuring out how the victim suffered his initial stab wound. That's what killed him.
Additionally, we discovered a large bruise on the left side of the victim's torso, indicating that he was struck by some sort of object. However, unlike the subsequent stab wounds, the victim received this bruise before he died.
Before.
I see.
What I'm still wondering is, why did the killer stab the victim in the head of all places? That's way too bizarre to not be important.
I mean, the head is the weak
There's
spot.
still one more point in this autopsy report that confuses me, though.
I assume you're referring to the affliction the victim was suffering.
That's correct. This poison joke. I've done my research on Equestria, but I'm afraid my studies didn't quite cover this topic.
There's no need to worry, Your Honor. I shall explain. Poison joke is a rare type of flower, native only to the Everfree Forest. It is relatively harmless, but should one so much as touch the plant, they will be afflicted with a bizarre condition, unique to every individual.
Yeah, this is all stuff that Twilight mentioned yesterday.
In the case of Royal Order, the affliction he suffered was weak knees.
Weak
Ironic
knees.
that a member of the Royal Guard would be afflicted with a condition that makes it difficult to stand tall.
Indeed.
As for the body itself, it was discovered at the foot of the bridge leading to the castle of the Two Sisters.
Yeah.
As you can see on this diagram, the castle ruins lie at the very end of the path that cuts through the Everfree Forest. We also have an additional diagram here that gives us a closer look at the crime scene itself. The X we've marked on here is representative of where the body was
There's a
at
castle.
the time of its discovery. Lastly, the prosecution wishes to submit this photo of the crime scene to the court. The victim's body had already been removed for autopsy by the time it was taken, but we laid out tape to mark its exact position.
Very well. The court accepts the diagrams and photo as evidence.
There you go. All presented. Crime scene photo. The photo depicting the scene of the crime. The body has already been removed.
The ponies accused of committing this wretched crime are Turning Page, the son of the victim, and Scootaloo, a friend of Turning's.
It is rather difficult for me to believe that these two children would do something like this, though. Not to mention the fact that one of the two standing accused is the victim's own son.
Yup.
It's certainly a rather tough pill to swallow, but I am certain that, in time, you will come to see that these two were the only ones capable of committing this crime.
You'd better have some pretty substantial evidence to back up your claims, Prosecutor Luna. These are children's lives at stake.
Trust me, Your Honor. It brings me no pleasure to prosecute these young
Oh,
souls.
bless you.
However, justice must still be served.
Okay. I thought.
Every pony is equal. Age
Okay,
doesn't
yeah. We are facing age here,
to know this.
but she's prosecuted against children, and Sonata wants her to prosecute against
It is
them.
the duty of a judge, after all.
I'm glad to hear that, Your Honor.
Well then, defense.
I still love you, Luna.
The charges filed against your clients.
Your Honor, we stand by our plea of not guilty. The defendants, Turning Page and Scootaloo, are both completely innocent of the charges filed against them.
The court acknowledges the defense's position. Now then, let's hear from the prosecution's first witness.
Let's go.
Your Honor, the prosecution would like to call the detective in charge of this investigation, Private Eye, to the stand.
Private Eye.
Well,
Alright, Private Eye's up first.
Okay.
Hopefully he doesn't say anything too damaging.
Let's go. There he is. Private Eye.
Witness, please state your name and occupation for the record.
My name is Private Eye, Princess. Detective. And might I say, good morning to everyone.
Good day.
Princess Twilight, Miss Sykes, my lord.
Good morning.
I could get used to that.
Lord Judge.
The prosecution's first course of action will be to make the actions of the victim clear to the court. Detective, please testify in regards to this matter.
At once, Your Highness.
Witness testimony. Let's go. Let's go, Professor Layton.
Royal Order was stationed in Camelot until late afternoon on the day of his murder. After his shift ended, he boarded a train and arrived in Ponyville at around 9:15 that night. Upon his return home, he was informed of Turning's whereabouts and decided to head into the Everfree Forest to find him. When he arrived at the base of the bridge, in front of the castle of the Two Sisters, he was ambushed and murdered.
Our investigation determined that Turning Page had gone off into the forest with Scootaloo that night for currently unknown reasons. We believe this is why the victim was in the forest that night. He was trying to save his son.
I see. You'd certainly need a very good reason to be willing to head that far into the forest. If I recall correctly, that place is filled with all kinds of dangerous creatures, isn't it?
It is indeed, Your Honor. Figuring out why the victim chose to go so far into the forest was one of the key questions we had during our investigation. It was the statement of one Miss Devotion that cleared the matter up for us.
Miss Devotion?
Devotion.
The victim's wife.
Oh, their devotion.
She
Yeah.
was a substitute teacher at the local schoolhouse. While her husband was away in Canterlot, Miss Devotion would take care of her son all by herself. This on top of her demanding role as a teacher and member of the Ponyville School Board, you see.
She certainly sounds like a very kind, hard-working mare.
Quite.
She was home when the victim returned, and it was she who told him the turning page had gone into the forest that night.
So, the reason the victim went into the forest was to chase after his son?
That is what the evidence and statement currently point to, yes.
Okay.
It's hard to argue against that. I guess in that case, I'll just see what other information I can draw out of Private Eye.
Now, Miss Sykes, you may begin your cross-examination.
Cross-examination. Oh, poo in his eyes.
The victim, Royal Order, was stationed in Canterlot until late afternoon on the day of his murder.
What was he doing there?
He was performing his routine duties as a guard. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Of course.
What did those duties entail?
Monitoring doors, patrolling hallways, the standard fare.
Of course, yeah.
So he was just your average, everyday guard?
I suppose you could say that, yes.
There was nothing special about his rank, his title, anything at all?
As a detective, I can only know so much. What do you think, Princess Luna?
It's just as Detective Eye says. As someone who gave the victim his orders, I can say with certainty that there was nothing that set him apart from the other guards in our entourage. If you're looking for a motive defense, I'm sorry to say that you will not find it here.
Well, there you have it. You couldn't ask for a clearer answer than that.
Shoot. I was really hoping I would get something out of that. If he was just an ordinary guard, then that eliminates any potential motive that could be tied to his rank. Still, though, the way Private Eye shifted my question to Princess Luna, something still doesn't seem right here.
Defense, please stop staring at the witness and continue your cross-examination.
Yes! Sorry, Your Honor. I'll have to look into that later. Gotta continue pressing the detective for information now.
After his shift ended, he boarded a train and arrived in Ponyville at around 9:15 that night.
How long had he stayed in Canterlot?
Nearly a month, according to our findings.
A month?
Royal Order often spent many weeks in Canterlot with little time to himself.
Okay.
Even when offered extended sabbaticals, he chose to forego them in service to the crown.
Oh, wow.
This fellow seemed like quite the workaholic.
Says the guy working on his
He was simply honored to serve in Equestria and maintaining harmony amongst its citizens. Whenever he wasn't on active duty, he spent all of his time with his family in Ponyville.
He certainly was the epitome of a royal guardsman.
Yes.
His death
A
would
salute.
certainly echo a great sense of loss for both his country and those close to him.
That's odd. That sounded a lot more sorrowful than anything I would expect from Private Eye.
The day he was murdered was no different than any of his other off-duty times. He returned to Ponyville to visit his family. According to our investigation into the ticket registers and train schedules for February 12th, Royal's train arrived in Ponyville at 9:15. He then headed straight home, arriving about 10 minutes later.
And what did the victim do once he got there?
Upon his return home, he was informed of Turning's whereabouts and decided to head into the Ep3 forest to find him.
Okay.
So, it was Fair Devotion who told the victim that Turning Page had gone into the forest?
Indeed. We heard this from Miss Devotion herself.
Yeah.
And how did she know what her son was doing? I doubt she would have allowed Turning to go somewhere that dangerous.
During our investigation of the victim's house, we found a note written in Turning's handwriting confessing to his actions that night. Miss Devotion knew where her son had gone because of this note.
Turning's note. No left by Turning on the night where it reads, went into the Everfree forest. Be back soon.
Went to the Everfree forest. Be back soon. Succinct and straight to the point. Just what I would expect from Turning. If Miss Devotion was the one who discovered this note, why didn't she go after him as soon as she found it?
As you said yourself, the Everfree forest is a dangerous place, especially after dark. She knew Royal Order would be coming home soon.
Oh, and she kept saying to her son, it's dangerous out there and stuff like that.
According to Miss Devotion, the Royal Order offered to go find him. She insisted on going with her husband, but he told her to stay put.
Oh.
She reluctantly complied and watched him leave at around 9:30. That was the last time she ever saw him.
Damn.
Oh, that sounds rather ominous. Like something right out of a horror movie.
Did the victim make any stops on his way to the forest?
I beg your pardon?
I'm just wondering if it's possible that the victim went somewhere else before entering the Everfree forest.
Quarter past 9, yeah?
This matter, so I cannot say anything for certain.
The forest entrance is roughly 20 minutes away from the victim's house. The crime scene is about 35 minutes away from the entrance. The body was discovered at 10:30 p.m. Do the math, attorney. Do you really think the victim could have dawdled before entering the forest?
Considering there was only 5 extra minutes to do something else, I highly doubt it.
Well, not so fast, Prosecutor Luna.
Twilight?
What is it, Miss Sparkle?
The victim was a unicorn, wasn't he? Did he, by any chance, know how to teleport?
Teleport!
That's
Oh!
Remember that this is a world of magic. Not everything here follows the rules of my own world.
Detective, do you have the answer to Princess Twilight's question?
I do indeed, Your Highness. Royal Order was an incredibly gifted unicorn. Teleportation was just one of many spells he had long since mastered.
Well, doesn't every unicorn know? Teleportation is like
Wouldn't you say?
the main principle of being a unicorn.
As I'm sure one as proficient in magic as yourself is aware, one cannot teleport to locations that they've never been.
Ah.
We could not find any indication that the victim had ever been to the castle of the two sisters before this incident. The best we could uncover were multiple instances of him and his son going to Froggy Bottom Bog to spar with the monsters that inhabit
Foggy Bottom Bog.
Froggy Bottom Bog, huh? I think I heard about that place yesterday. It's down the path that leads to the right from the crossroads, isn't it?
Quite so. You can see it here on the map we drew of the forest.
Is it
If one were to walk to Froggy Bottom Bog, it would
down
first have to
bottom, yeah.
travel to the crossroads to get there.
So that means he could at least teleport as far as the crossroads, right? He must have been there before when traveling to his sparring sessions. If so, then he may have teleported to the crossroads first and walked the rest of the way to the castle. This could make his travel time 30 minutes at most.
I suppose that's a reasonable assumption to make. Then, are you saying that between 9:30 and 10, the victim was off doing something else? Why? His son had gone off into the Everfree forest alone at night. Do you really think he'd waste time delaying his entrance into the forest? If anything, he would have used the extra half hour he had to search elsewhere in the woods. After all, it's not like he could have known exactly where his son was.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of hard to believe that Royal Order would have risked his son's safety by taking a detour, given what we've heard about him so far. Twilight, any ideas?
Unfortunately, none. I didn't think this line of questioning was necessarily going to reveal anything case-breaking, but still, knowing that the victim had a half-hour period where he could act freely without heading to the crime scene, I think that might be something we'll want to keep in mind.
I agree. It might not be relevant, but you never know.
Miss Sykes, Miss Sparkle, if you're done whispering over there, then let's continue with the testimony.
Sorry, Your Honor. Private, please continue.
When he arrived arrived at the base of the bridge, in front of the castle of the two sisters, he was ambushed and murdered.
With the wagons.
He was ambushed?
We believe so, yes.
What led you to that conclusion?
It was the bruise on the left side
Ah,
of his
yeah,
body.
the bruise.
We believe that the assailant first delivered the blow to his torso in order to knock the victim to the ground. This was then followed up by at least 2 stabs to the head, the first of which must have killed the victim. If the victim had been on guard at the time, there isn't a chance somebody of his caliber would have been knocked down so easily. That is why we believe he was taken by surprise.
Yeah.
But walking through that dark, dangerous forest in the middle of the night, wouldn't the victim have been on guard regardless?
Perhaps. But you are forgetting something else, Miss Sykes. The victim was suffering from the effects of poison germ.
Oh, yeah. Weak knees.
Exactly. The poison germ caused the victim's legs to be weaker than normal. So, when his assailant struck him, even if he was completely on guard, it's hard to believe he wouldn't have been knocked to the ground.
I guess that's true.
That certainly seems to make sense. And what weapon are you proposing was used to knock the victim down?
We believe it was the sword of the defendant.
Ah, the broken sword.
One of the defendants has a sword?
A wooden one, Your Honor. No need to worry. I have it right here. The defendant has been known to carry this sword everywhere he goes. That night was no different. According to our witness, when she last saw the defendant, his sword was still in one piece. Yet the sword you see now is broken. Turning Page's mother has also confirmed that his sword was undamaged earlier that day. The prosecution contends that the sword broke when it was used to attack the victim.
I see. That's definitely a strong possibility.
Jackson! Wait, hold on. That's not how the sword broke.
Oh?
Yes, it's true that the sword is broken right now, but that's because...
Objection!
Oh, look at that font of objection.
To us, defense, I would like you to tell us from where you learned this alternate interpretation.
From where? Well, I guess it was from Turning Page.
From the defendant himself, in other words? Do you truly believe that story to be reliable in that case? Unless you have some proof to back up his story, I think you do well to keep it to yourself for now.
Huh? For now?
In any case, the prosecution recognizes that our own evidence on the matter is circumstantial. More definitive evidence may yet prove our claim to be false. At the moment, however, this interpretation of the facts surrounding the sword is the most likely scenario.
The court agrees with the prosecution.
No! I know that's not how it happened. That sword broke when Turning used it to attack those blackmailing bullies. But unless I can find some proof of that, I'm not going to be able to convince anyone. Oh, this sucks. If only I could get those two on the stand. One of them might have a bruise somewhere that I could point out. That'll have to wait until later, though. I had to finish this testimony first.
So I assume that this sword of the defendant's was also used to stab the victim?
It was not, Your Honor. There wasn't a single trace of blood on the sword. No forensic spell or potion could reveal even a single drop.
But then, what was used to stab the victim?
Oh boy. Here
Oh,
it comes.
God.
It was a possession belonging to the other defendant, Miss Scootaloo. She stabbed him using her scooter.
A scooter?
A scooter.
How is that even possible? Scooters aren't sharp. Are they?
Not normally, my lord.
No.
But in this case, the scooter in question was broken.
Broken? How?
I think you could bruise them.
Handlebar
That
was
might
set
explain
off,
with the torso.
leaving behind a sharp, exposed bolt.
Oh, that.
You can see it in the photo I submitted earlier, Your Honor. The scooter was unquestionably at the scene, and I have it recorded right here that the bolt itself was covered in blood.
There.
When tested, we discovered that the blood was indeed the victim's.
Order! Order, I say! I must admit, as unbelievable as it appeared to be at first, the more I listen, the more it seems like these two kids really did commit this crime.
As regrettable as it is to think so, the evidence certainly points to that conclusion. The victim arrived on the scene and was ambushed by his son, turning page. He used his sword to hit his father's left side. This attack caused the sword to break. Thanks to the poison.
Again, you're not thinking about the bullies.
At the time, he couldn't resist the impact and was knocked to the ground. At that point, the other assailant, Scooter Lou, rushed to the victim's side. She stabbed him in the head multiple times with the scooter before he could even react to what was happening.
Oh my god.
Yes, that does seem to be what happened, given the evidence so far.
Wait a second. I think there might be a contradiction in the sequence of events. Although, I might be overthinking this. No, I have to be onto something here. Right?
Well,
Don't doubt yourself, Athena.
Twilight?
If you think there's a contradiction, then go for it. I'll be right here with you.
Right. Thanks, Twilight. Your Honor,
it's,
I would like what Private Eye just said to be added to his testimony.
Very well. Detective, if you please.
where's this going?
Certainly, my lord. The victim was knocked to the ground and then stabbed before he could even react.
Objection!
Here we go.
Private Eye, there's a contradiction in your testimony.
Oh, please, do tell.
Yes, enlighten us, defense. What is this supposed contradiction?
Right. It's written here in the autopsy report. Cause of death was a single stab
Going
wound
to the right temple that caused immediate death, followed by at least one more post-mortem.
It does say that, yes, but I failed to see how this contradicts the witness's testimony.
Well, Your Honor, it's simple. If the victim was first knocked to the ground by a blow to his left side, as Private Eye claims, then tell me this. Which side of the victim's head would be facing up?
Left.
Well, that would be the left side, wouldn't it? Oh!
Exactly, Your Honor. The victim would land with the left side of his head facing up, meaning it would be impossible to stab him in the right temple.
Makes a good valid point.
Order! Order! That's certainly a puzzling contradiction. The victim couldn't possibly have been stabbed in the right temple if he were in that position. Prosecutor Luna, any thoughts?
You certainly pose an interesting dilemma, defense. So, are you implying that the victim was first stabbed in the head and then hit in the torso? It would certainly help your case if you were. After all, a child would have a much more difficult time trying to stab a fully grown stallion in the head if he were standing up straight, even if one of them was a unicorn.
Is that what I'm implying here? Could the victim have been stabbed before he was struck?
That can't be it, Athena. Think back to the autopsy report one more time.
You're right, Twilight.
Well, Miss Sykes, is what the prosecution said true? Are you claiming that the victim was first stabbed and then struck?
I'm not, Your Honor.
You aren't?
Intriguing. And why not, defense?
It says so right here in the autopsy report. The victim suffered a large bruise on the left side of his torso ante-mortem. He was hit before he was killed. Since the autopsy report notes that the victim was instantly killed by the first stab wounds, that means it would have been impossible for the victim to have been struck in the torso after he was stabbed. I did it! I managed to find a flaw in the prosecution's case.
Way to go, Athena.
Let's see how the princess tries to get out of this one.
Oh, she will.
Prosecutor Luna, do you have an explanation
She will.
for this seemingly unexplainable contradiction?
Of course I do.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yep.
Then please share your theory with the court.
At once, Your Honor. As the defense has so eagerly demonstrated for us, the victim's autopsy report creates quite a few perplexing contradictions. However, there are 2 explanations that can clear them all up.
Two?
2.
The first is a rather simple one. After the victim was struck, he fell onto something sharp, and it pierced his head, killing him.
Oh.
The victim fell onto the murder weapon?
Well, it might not be right to call it a murder weapon. After all, there's no proof to indicate that the assailant ever intended on killing the victim, should this be the case. And the crime scene was a forest, after all. Who knows what could be on the ground?
Yeah.
All kinds of dangerous objects, I'm sure.
Indeed. This murder could very well have been an accident in that case. But then, wouldn't the object that took the victim's life still be at the scene? You would have found it there, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Not if the culprit took it away in a panic or in fear.
Well, that too.
And what about the blood on the scooter?
That could have been the result of our real culprit wishing to frame Miss Scootaloo for the crime. Even if it was an accident, the culprit still wouldn't want to be caught. They
It could
would
have
fabricate a
been.
weapon to avoid their punishment. In truth,
It could have
while the
been
stab
like
wound in
to
question is
indicate
quite
towards
similar
one
in shape
suspect
to the exposed bolt on
that
the scooter, irregularities
did all the
were
poison
discovered
joke,
during
the
examination, which indicates that it's
the weak
possible
knees
2
and.
different items could have stabbed the victim.
I see.
Hmm.
Which would mean the culprit is...
Indeed, Your Honor. The evidence, as it stands, suggests that Turning Page was the one who knocked the victim over. On top of that, out of the 2 defendants, he's the only one who would benefit from making a fake weapon out of the scooter.
If that's the case, then everything would line up, wouldn't it?
What do you think, defense? Do you wish to argue that this was all an accident, perpetrated by Turning Page alone?
You're going up against the wrong person if you think you can manipulate me into saying what you want, Princess.
Oh.
That being said, if I did argue that this was what happened, I could get Turning Page's sentence reduced significantly, and Scootaloo would be off the hook completely. Is that what I should do? Turning did say he'd be willing to take the blame for this.
Yeah.
But Turning's looking at me. Is he trying to tell me to let him take the fall? But if I do that, then
Athena?
I'm not sure what to do.
Is she really gonna do this? Is she really gonna take what Turning said?
Get Scootaloo off the hook.
Get Scootaloo off it and get
That would have
Turning-
everything turn out just as Turning asked back in the defendant lobby.
Yeah.
But I don't think I should do that. If I do, that'll just mean we're admitting that Turning killed his own father, even if only by accident. And that will undoubtedly have a severe effect on him. His family, his peers, they'd never look at him or treat him the same way again. He'd ruin his life.
Even so, Turning seems to be satisfied with that.
Well, I'm not. I don't care if he thinks it'd be a good thing to do. Because it isn't. I'm supposed to look out for both his and Scootaloo's best interest. And him taking the blame isn't what she wants. So if Luna's got some sort of trap waiting for me, bring it on. I'll never admit that either of them had anything to do with the Royal Order's death.
If that's the path you're going down, then don't you worry. I've got your back.
Thank you, Twilight.
Okay.
Miss Sykes, if you're done whispering to your co-counsel, then tell us. Do you intend to argue that this murder was, in fact, an accident?
No, Your Honor, I do not.
You don't?
Whoa.
The defense's stance is simply this. We assert that neither Scootaloo nor Turning Page had any hand, or hoof, rather, in this murder.
I thought you might say that. How ambitious of you, little golden pixie.
Golden Pixie!
If that's the case, then you are admitting that the second explanation for our autopsy contradiction is the correct one?
Yes.
Where'd you get the Golden Pixie from? Is it the waistcoat? It must be the waistcoat.
Not so confident, are you? Perhaps once we elucidate the matter, you'll see the folly of your actions. Private Eye, if you please.
At once, Princess. If the issue is merely in regards to the claim that the victim didn't have time to react before getting stabbed, then the solution is simple. He did react. When he was knocked over, he must have lifted his head to see who hit him. Once he did, his right temple would have been exposed, allowing the second assailant a chance to stab him there.
You're right. That
It was
does
only the
answer
knees.
contradiction quite nicely.
Well then,
So if he did
there you have
get
it.
hit,
If the defense refuses
so if you
to
get hit in the
cooperate with
torso and it
accident,
brings him down,
this is the only
then he
way
would have been
possible
able to lift his head up and see who is attacking him.
Unless I can poke a hole in this theory, we're gonna be up a creek with no paddle. There must be something we're overlooking.
Excuse me, Golden Pixie.
Yeah?
I
Golden
see you're
Pixie.
screening yourself over there. No doubt desperately clawing for some sort of advantage in this argument.
Was it that obvious?
Unfortunately, I'm afraid you're not going to find one. Just look over the evidence again, and I'm sure you'll realize you're fighting on the wrong side of this debate.
What? I'm fighting on the wrong side. Why did Luna say that? Was that supposed to be a hint? Come on, think, Athena, think! Fighting on the wrong side. Fighting on the wrong side. The evidence shows I'm fighting on the wrong...
I've got it! Jackson!
She helped her out.
There's no way the murder could have played out the way the prosecution is claiming it did.
Oh? How so, Miss Sykes?
Let's look back at the photo of the crime scene.
Fighting on the wrong side.
Here, we can see an outline of the body as it was at the time of the discovery. Looking at it, don't you find it to be a little odd?
Odd? What do you mean? The victim is on his
Like
side,
that, isn't it?
just as the prosecution
It's like that.
claimed.
Yes, but think back to the earlier theory. The victim was hit on the left side of his torso and was knocked to the ground. Now, if he was hit on the left side, then his right side should have been what hit the ground, right?
Yes,
Right.
I suppose so.
And yet, in this photo, we can clearly see the victim fell on his left side.
You're
Left.
right. Order! Order! Prosecutor Luna, do you have an explanation for this? This completely overturns your entire case.
Quite literally, in fact.
You weren't fazed by it?
I'm afraid not, Your Honor. Sorry to disappoint you.
So then, do you have an explanation for this after all?
Perhaps we should allow the one who brought this to our attention an opportunity to explain it first.
Me?
Who else?
Well,
Go on then.
I don't know. I just pointed out the contradiction.
Oh, really?
Well, one thing it could mean, Prosecutor Luna, is that the police made a mistake when they were outlining the body.
Yeah.
I assure you.
And
no
private
mistakes were
eye.
made. I saw to the
The
removal of
detectives.
the body myself. The tape outline was made around the body just before it was removed. Private Eye can confirm this, as he was also there at the time.
Yes. The tape was laid down before the body was moved. There's no chance it was a mistake on our part.
If that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
case, then this contradiction eliminates the possibility of this being an accidental killing. The victim couldn't have fallen on something if he ended up with his stabbed side facing towards the sky.
Indeed. And what else?
Well,
Oh, I think I got it. It would also mean that the body itself had to have been moved, right?
How so?
If the side of his body that was hit somehow ended up facing the ground, it would mean that whoever killed him must have moved the body from somewhere else and placed it down incorrectly. I don't know if that was by accident or on purpose, but the body had to have been moved.
And why couldn't the explanation be as simple as the victim himself having rolled over after being hit? Or having his feet swept out from under him, causing him to fall on his left side?
Because if he really did land on his right side after being hit, and then rolled over, he would have ended up facing away from his attacker, regardless of which direction he rolled. I doubt he would have wanted to let them out of his sight.
As for why the assailant couldn't have swept out his knees, the autopsy report doesn't mention anything about the victim's knees being injured. Even if they were weak at the time, some bruise or mark would have been left behind if they were hit with enough force to topple him over.
There's no doubt that the victim must have fallen over when he was hit. His legs were far too weak to support him after suffering the blow to his side.
So, how's that for an answer, Prosecutor Luna? The victim's body was moved after he was killed. That's the only way he could have ended up being fed with the left side of his body facing the ground.
The only way? Are you sure about that?
Ay, caramba. What now?
I think you are forgetting one last possibility.
And what would that be, Prosecutor Luna?
First, let's review what we've uncovered so far. We know that the victim was struck on his left side, which undoubtedly caused him to fall on his right side. However, when the body was discovered, the victim was found to have fallen on his left side. Between the time the victim fell over and the time the body was discovered, the victim must have moved to account for this change in positioning.
Exactly. The culprit, after killing the victim, moved the body.
That's not necessarily the case, Golden Pixie.
What do you mean?
Undoubtedly, the victim was knocked over after he was hit. But who's to say that's also when he died?
You mean?
Yes, I do. The victim was not stabbed when he was knocked to the ground.
What?
Instead, after he was knocked over, he managed to stand himself back up. After an unspecified amount of time, he was then stabbed in the right temple, which caused him to fall over onto his left
Oh my god. Of course. Of course.
Order in the court!
He did say he had visual of sight.
Prosecution and defense's claims. I believe I must side with the prosecution's stance.
Oh, that is good.
But why?
That is good.
Your theory of the body being moved, while plausible, simply lacks enough evidence to back it up, and leaves too many questions unanswered. If the body was moved, who moved it?
Sorry about that.
Why? And from where?
Those are all, really good questions, Your Honor.
Oh, why thank you, Miss Sykes. I have been doing this for quite some time, you know.
If you wish
A
to
lot.
pursue the
You've been
theory
doing
of
that
the
a
body
lot.
having been moved, you'll need to first disprove that he was killed at the castle ruins. All of the evidence presented in the trial so far points towards the likelihood of the murder occurring there. Furthermore, nothing was missing from the crime scene to suggest that the murder may have occurred elsewhere. Right, defense?
There it is again. She's hinting at something. What does she want me to see? Something missing from the crime scene? Everything's here, isn't it? The scooter that stabbed the victim, the body itself.
The wagon. The wagon. The wagon.
Wait a second. The body that was stabbed is there. But there's something else that should be there but isn't. This is it! Your Honor, the defense has evidence to counter the prosecution's claims.
Then please show it to us, Miss Sykes.
If I'm right.
Look at this photo one more time. There's a grave contradiction contained within it.
A contradiction? Where?
Right here, Your Honor. Take that. Look at the area near the head of the victim.
Oh.
Go by the prosecution's theory, then the victim would have fallen in the place he was stabbed. However, if that was the case, then there should be a pool of blood around the victim's head.
Yes, there should be.
But looking at this picture, what do you see?
No blood.
There's no blood at all.
And that's precisely the significant contradiction in that photo, Your Honor. An area that should be caked in blood has no trace of it whatsoever. crime scene lacks even a drop of blood to speak of. That casts significant doubt over whether the victim was stabbed there at all.
I mentioned a wagon, bruh.
So, how could this be the case, you might ask? The answer is obvious.
That goes to show how I am with detective games.
The castle ruins. That's the only possibility.
Interesting.
It is a puzzle game afterwards. It takes a lot of time of
And you
thinking.
sounded so triumphant while making it, too. It's a shame that it's completely flawed.
Blood? How?
True, there doesn't appear to be any blood on the scene right now. But once I bring my next witness to the stand, that tune of yours will surely change.
This other witness. Time to see if it's who I think it is.
Very well. Detective, you may leave the stand, but please remain in the courtroom. We may need your opinion on other matters as they come up.
Of course, my lord.
Now then, let the prosecution's next witness take the stand.
Okay. Who's the next witness? Sakura!
Witness, please state your name and occupation for the record.
My name is Zakura, an apothecary. I make my home in the Ep3.
You live in the Ep3 forest?
You're a zebra?
Oh, right. I guess I forgot to mention that, didn't I?
You and
And you say you're an apothecary?
Yes, Your Honor, I am indeed. Crafting potions is my creed. The forest creatures are bizarre, but their wonders are unmatched by far.
Interesting.
I just noticed that she's running. I really hope that this doesn't mean what I think it might.
Let's get back on topic, shall
Yeah,
we?
she's a spellbinding enchantress with rhyming dances.
You were the one who discovered and reported the victim's body.
Yes, quite sadly this is true. It was a scene most gruesome too.
Then please, give us your testimony in relation to this gruesome discovery.
God damn it.
Of course, Your Honor. I'm sorry for this tale is bleak.
Oh, god damn it. God damn it, Judge. Witness testimony. Discovery of the body.
That evening, I was tending to the plants near my home. Two little ponies passed, heading towards the castle dome.
Okay, turn in and
For a
Scootaloo.
while I waited, but return they did not. So I chose to head home at an agile trot. But soon I heard a strange far-off sound. I ran to where those ponies were found. On my way, a small shadow my eyes did track, but it jumped away before I could react. Upon arrival, what met my gaze I'll not forget for all my days. A pony's body, still with blood around his head, turning earth to mud. Once I was sure that he was dead, to the police I quickly fled.
A shadow jumped.
Can life cut me a break already? It's hard enough sifting through testimonies without
A shadow jumped.
It must have been horrifying to see a dead body that night. But if the Ep3 forest is as dangerous as you say it is, well, wouldn't bodies be a common sight?
Most creatures are clean with the food they hunt, but a corpse in the open has the prize to be blunt.
You saw blood on the ground around the body?
Of all the life that he had bled, hovering a red layer around his head.
That's impossible.
There was no trace of blood.
Ourselves. Even this photograph shows there was no traces of blood. Your testimony is completely.
But what about the
contradictory.
scooter?
Do not point your rage at me. I have told you all I've seen.
Perhaps I can shed some light on this matter.
What about the scooter?
Do you have something that can explain this contradiction, Prosecutor Luna?
Of course, Your Honor. I'd look rather silly if I didn't.
Very well. Please explain for us.
As was just stated, this witness was the one who reported the body to the police. She accompanied them to the crime scene. and they found it in exactly the same state as she just described. The victim lying in a pool of his own blood. I have here a photograph of that very scene.
Oh my god.
You're right. The victim does appear to be lying in a pool of blood.
But why was it gone the next day?
That will become clear soon enough. First, the prosecution would like to submit this evidence to the court, along with this photograph.
And what is this?
It's a cape, Your Honor. The emblem on it denotes it as belonging to the Cutie Mark Crusaders, the group of which the defendant, Scootaloo, is a member.
That must be the third cape that Private Eye said the police had taken for examination.
As you can see in this earlier photograph, 2 more of these capes, as well as the fabric used to line their undersides, laid in this wagon attached to the scooter. It likely goes without saying, but this wagon also belongs to Scootaloo.
Great Wickering Stallions! Just what were the defendants up to in that forest?
We'll cover
Crusading.
that. For now, I would like to draw further attention to this cape here. Upon testing it,
Crusading the
we found
murder.
that it was absolutely drenched in the victim's blood.
Oh, the unholiness.
The cape was covered in blood.
Yep.
You mean someone tried to clean up the crime scene?
With blood
I'd imagined that to be
on the
case.
cape.
Going by where this cape was found, I'd say there's another more likely possibility.
You helping?
Where was it found?
This cape was discovered underneath the victim's body, specifically under his head.
You mean that pool of blood Zecora saw?
It appears as though the little golden pixie has figured it out. When the
Yikes.
police went to examine the blood, they discovered that it wasn't blood at all. It was actually this cape right here.
Oh my god.
Now,
Big Mac in the audience.
when the victim fell to the ground after being stabbed, he must have
Yeah,
fallen
put the
on
cape
his
underneath it. Let the pool of blood get underneath it. So that there'll be no trace, no hoof prints on it.
The fact that there was no blood at the scene is completely irrelevant. After all, it was the police themselves who removed it.
This can't be right.
Dragging this up like this for us children is just... Even if you're guilty, why didn't you see that?
Order!
Do we have an Irish pony there?
Seems as if the defense's argument has been completely overturned.
Indeed it has, Your Honor. Despite what they claimed, it's clear that the body was never moved. The scene of the crime was undoubtedly at the foot of the bridge. The blood on this cape proves it. And, as luck would have it, I have one more piece of information that will crush the defense's rebuttal once and for all.
Oh,
Don't do it! Don't do it!
Upon examining the
Don't
area
do it,
of the
Luna.
blade, thanks to forensic smell testing, we discovered traces of blood underneath the area around the victim's head.
Oh.
Really?
It seems as if the cape absorbed more blood than it could handle, and some of it leaked through to the
Yeah.
ground below. Further testing of this blood revealed that it belonged to the victim. Your Honor, I submit to you the photo of the victim's body, as well as the blood-stained cape as evidence.
Very well. The court accepts them.
You know, I think at this case, you probably Athena might have to probably turning in and let Scootaloo be free.
Defense, care to share your thoughts on the matter?
not if I don't want to get held in contempt of court.
It seems the Golden Pixie has been rendered speechless in the face of such irrefutable evidence.
Just ignore her. Ignore everyone, okay? I'm not gonna lose. Time to get my brain in gear. There has to be something off in her theory. Luna's saying that the body was never moved. The reason there was no blood at the scene is because it was absorbed by the cape. In that case, the victim would have stood up after being knocked over by turning. Afterwards, Scootaloo hit him in the head with the scooter, which knocked him to the ground again. Is there anything wrong with that series of events?
Wait a second. If the victim was standing up when he was stabbed, then wouldn't it be impossible for...
Sykes! Do you, or do you not, have any objections to the prosecutor's theory?
You bet I do.
Do you?
Feigning confidence will get you nowhere, defense.
Objection! Your Honor, the defense would like to point out a flaw in the prosecution's theory.
Then get on with it!
Yes, Your Honor. The issue has to do with the victim's fatal stab wound being inflicted while the victim was standing upright. I would think stabbing an adult at such a height would be nearly impossible for a child. Correct?
True.
Objection! You forget that the owner of that scooter is a Pegasus. What's stopping them from simply flying up and stabbing him that way?
Funny you should mention that. I heard something from the defendant in question yesterday that clears up this matter. Namely, the fact that Miss Scootaloo
Can't fly. She can't. She can't. She cannot fly.
Order! Order! Prosecutor Luna, is this true?
Oh, that's pretty good. Right, I have to pause it here for a moment. I need the toilet break, but I'll be right back with the rest of the trial. Be right back.